look at downtown, it's a very walkable city. It is an excellent host city. It is the site of Game 6. Here, we're going to hear from head coach Mark Daigneault.
All right, we'll take first question here on the second row on the left.
Hi, Mark. Guilherme Giovannoni from ESPN Brazil. You guys have some difficulties in passing the ball on the road. You guys have like 13 assists per game in this series, one play here. Is that a thing that you guys looking forward to improve, to make the ball move a little bit better?
Yeah, we have to play better offensively out here to win the game tomorrow. They do a great job at home. They play with a lot of energy. They really pressure. They're up the floor, and we can expect them to bring that tomorrow. And so, we have to play with the requisite force in order to counter that if we want to give ourselves a chance to compete.
On the right side, second row.
Mark over here, Robert O'Connell, Wall Street Journal. The stat that's been going around a lot this series about no NBA leading scorer winning the championship since 2000. If you take like a zoomed out view, does that tell you anything about the way the sport has evolved over the first part of this century? And what's it say about Shea being in a position potentially to buck that trend?
I don't know. I have a hard time with like the trends and analyzing those. I'm not the most equipped person to do that. We're dialed in on Game 6, to be honest with you. But yeah, Shea's incredible. He's a great teammate, great player. But we're focused on Game 6.
Nick in the back.
Mark, for years now, you guys have tried to take a really tactful approach to situations where the opposing team either doesn't have one of their top guys or, maybe one of those guys is limited. What do you draw on maybe from past experiences going into this game where Haliburton's status is kind of unclear?
Haliburton's a great player. One thing we know is you don't underestimate great players. So in the case that he plays, we're expecting his best punch. Indiana's a great team. We don't underestimate great teams. So in either case, whether he plays or not, we're expecting Indiana's best punch, especially at home. And so we'll be prepared for the best punch from both him and the team.
Back left.
Mark, you've talked about uncommon maturity all year with this team. In what ways has Kaysen showed you that uncommon maturity in this series leading up to Game 5?
Yeah, he's the man. I thought he did a good job in his minutes in the first couple games. I didn't think he shot the ball well, obviously, so that can be loud, but it had the desired effect in terms of playing him the way we did on transition defense and on perimeter point of attack. And despite the shooting, and he was in the starting lineup, we moved him out of the starting lineup, he just comes out with great confidence in Game 5 and steps into those shots and makes big plays, and was also incredibly impactful defensively, which is critical against this team. So we're going to need him again tomorrow. We're going to need everybody.
Standing in the back left.
Tomer with Clutch Points. Mark, I remember a couple of years ago in L.A., you coined this phrase competitive empathy when you talk about a team, whether they're coming off a big win, big loss, and addressing kind of their mental state with the team. Do you need to have a conversation like that with your team, addressing where they might be mentally, where you guys are mentally, given that you're probably just one win away from a championship?
Hopefully we have that habit built. That's really the way we look at all these things is there's no new material right now, and so we're always trying to put ourselves in the opponent's shoes, understand what the opponent's going to bring to the game, prepare for our opponent's best punch in every situation. 0-0 mindset, despite what's going on in a series or last game or whatever. We're not introducing any new concepts right now. We're just leaning on the psychological habits we've tried to build over a long period of time.
Joel
Lorenzi with the Oklahoman. Hey, Mark. I don't know if you've had time to reflect on this recently. Maybe you have in the past few off seasons, but you look back at that 2022 draft, and I don't know, Chet and Jalen these days seems like one of the crazier hauls of this past decade or so. Do you remember what you thought about that draft then, and sort of how do you feel about it now? What comes to mind about just getting those two guys in the same draft?
I'm not really in a reflective state right now, but they're great players. We take every draft. Sam does a great job identifying the guys we think can help. we start the process of developing those guys and see where it goes. And obviously it's gone great with those two guys. They've done a great job. And we're going to need their best tomorrow in Game 6.
Tim on the left.
Tim Reynolds, AP. Hi, Mark. I wasn't there, obviously, but when Sam did his preseason meeting with your reporters, he talked for like an hour, and he never said the word championship, but it's clear what the expectation was for this team. How did you guys sort of create that concept of championship culture, championship belief, championship aspirations without putting that championship burden on that label on this team? Like it's never been championship or bust with you guys. How have you grown without hammering that word home over and over and over?
I think if you want to accomplish anything, you have to stack to it. If you want to accomplish any goal, it starts with what you can do today to step towards that goal. And we've tried to take a stacking mindset to everything we've done. You can't, even when the team was rebuilding, you can't fast forward that process. You have to be very present in the process and just stack days and stack possessions. We want to win the game tomorrow, but the most important thing we need to do to win the game tomorrow is prepare today and prepare tomorrow, and then play the first possession really well, and then the next possession, and then the next possession. And that's how we try to approach a game. That's how we try to approach playoff series. It's how we try to approach every single day and let that win the day. If you do that, then you can put your head on the pillow at night and know that you gave it everything you had. The minute you start to drift mentally into the future, into the past, it impacts your ability to stack the next thing. And so we try to stay very disciplined to that.
Steve in the middle.
Steve Ashburner, NBA.com. When it comes to Shea and Jalen, the shots distribution, the scoring opportunities, how much of that is art and how much of that is science?
Most of the great players are art. They're unbelievably unique. They have unbelievable skill sets. That's every great player. Siakam's like that. Haliburton's like that. Those guys are like that. They're one of one. All the great players are. And so a lot of it, for us is just trying to help every player on our team maximize their individual style of play. Obviously, those two guys have very broad styles because of all the things they can do, but they deserve the credit for what they're able to do out there on the court. They're great players, but they do it inside the team, and so it doesn't suffocate our team. It doesn't take away from our other players' abilities to impact the game, and that's why the team's been successful.
Joe, last question in the back.
Mark, you guys were the second best defensive team in the league last year, and then obviously the best this year numbers-wise. So how far back does making defense your calling card go?
I think whatever our calling cards are, similar to the answer about our mindset, I like to think that they go back as far as, the beginning of this build, when Dort and Shea and Cambridge Williams were a part of the team. Hopefully most of the stuff, we've evolved and we've definitely improved some things, but hopefully most of the big rocks are things that are very familiar. Even back then, that was our mindset back then is to plant the right seeds and to have the right themes and to have the right emphasis so that we weren't reaching a point of changing that. Because there's no day you become you don't know what day it's going to be that you become a good team. So we've tried to stay very consistent. It's served us well. And now that we're in high stakes environment, it's comforting because it's familiar. There's, like I said, there's no new material. We're not walking in today with a new riff. We're walking in and pounding away at the same stuff we've been pounding away at for 5 years.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thanks.
That was head coach Mark Daigneault of the OKC Thunder, and there's his MVP star point guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Coming up, we'll have more from Gainbridge Fieldhouse.